Welcome to the B Sound Podcast, Solo Edition. Today is Friday, July 23rd, 2021. And I don't know how much I have for you today. We're going to do this. I'm a bit tired, but we're going to do this because this is a commitment. And I need to stay congruent with my own commitments, just as I would suggest anybody does. It really helps to stay congruent with your own commitments and everything else in your life. The more congruent you can be, the better off you're going to be. So this means no telling yourself lies, no telling others lies, that kind of thing. So anyway, to the topic at hand, I was going to go on a whole thing about Generation X. I've been thinking about what it means to be a Gen X person. And I had written out some notes. I even started recording a podcast about it. And I just kept getting distracted and things were happening. So I decided, hey, let's cut that, take 5-10 minutes, reset myself, and go ahead and do this podcast. But yeah, I did a lot today. I went swimming, and basically what happened there was I used to be in a band called Raw Mojo, and that band was a 3-piece band. It consisted of Adam Clayton, the drummer that I'm with in Nirvomit and that I play with in the new band I'm in called, well, we don't really have a name, but we're calling it The Woos on Facebook right now. That is subject to change at any time. And then we had a bass player singer, and her name was Miss Nikki. Anyway, Nikki and I had a falling out years ago. And during this past couple months, I was trying to get things back in order with my own life and resolve some unresolved things. And she had tried reaching out several times over the years, and I just wasn't having it. But I thought, you know what, do the hard thing. Go ahead and contact this person and say what you have to say. Talk it out. Let them say what they have to say. And things worked out to be where we could be friendly again. I mean, it's not like it was before. We're not having a band or anything like that, but it's good enough to where she wanted to have Adam and I over and kind of just a small little get together, hang out, Raw Mojo reunion. So, and you can see if you're watching this, which you are because this is only on YouTube, got the Raw Mojo poster back there, done by Harry Q, the great artist Harry Q. And I met him long ago when I was doing my own comic strip called Goose Town and Lunch Break. And it was an honor to have him put the characters I came up with, Goose Town and Lunch Break, into his comic at the time. Anyway, she invited us over to go swimming, and I'm exhausted from it. It was 3 hours out in the sun. We checked out some albums she had too. It was she wanted to show us. She had a lot of albums from the vault. She's a huge White Stripes person, Jack White person, I guess you could say. And yeah, we were checking out those albums. One of the favorite albums that I saw of the night, which I didn't think, which I didn't expect to see because, well, it was all Jack White stuff. And then she had Core by Stone Temple Pilots. And I was like, hey, this is interesting. And the most interesting thing about it was if you open it up, there's a page that they took. And it's like, basically you can tell they were brainstorming on band names. And if you know anything, I just brought up the Woos. So if you know anything about me, I love coming up with different band names. I think it's hilarious. It's fun. And it's just kind of an exercise to get your brain going. And it can be hilarious. So it was fun to see their names. And they had come up with some funny ones and some awful ones and some kind of good ones. So that was fun to check out. And then swimming was okay. Swimming's not normally my thing, but it was fun just to hang with those guys and kind of catch up, and just each one of us kind of told the other one where we're at in our lives now. And yeah, it was all right. But the sun, I didn't wear sunscreen, and that's fine. I want to get my vitamin D. Get your vitamin D, kids. And it was great. The sun was fine. Felt good. Felt good to just be out in the sun, no shirt. But I'm paying for it now. I'm paying for it. I'm a bit sunburned and a little drained. So the whole thing was I had this Generation X thing I was going to do, but being so drained, I didn't do it. And I thought, hey, I'll just get on and at the very least, tell you guys, maybe I'll do this tomorrow or whatever. But it seemed better than nothing. It seemed better to just get on here and do something than to not do anything at all, or just kind of give up and be like, hey, I'm not going to be here. Maybe tomorrow I'll feel better. No, pull yourself up and just do this thing. Am I going to talk about Generation X like I was before? I don't know. I keep coming back to it, so it's possible it could come up. But how about this? If you guys want to hear my whole Generation X spiel on what it means to be Gen X and the good things about it, the not so good things, let me know. Hit me up in the comments. If anyone out there says, yeah, I'd love to hear that, then we'll make it about that very soon. Because these are just as much for you as they are for me. This is kind of a brain dump, but it's also I want to provide some kind of value for you guys. And it's hard to gauge what that value is at some points. It's like there's a video on this page that I just did, a video on this channel, where I talk about the Jag Stang. And I was surprised to see, 1,000 people have watched that video. Compared to the other videos I have on this channel, it's like, wow, that hit a mark with some people. But you don't want to get caught up in that thing where you're just, hey, I'm going to talk about the Jag Stang every time. It's not very genuine. You want to at least give your audience interesting, valuable things. But at the same time, you don't want to get caught in that trap of just talking about the same thing over and over again. So you get this point where it's like, well, what's valuable and what is interesting? And that's a tough thing to deal with sometimes. I'll rack my brain for a good couple hours. What am I going to talk about this week? And a lot of times I'll have a few ideas, but it's like, well, how is it going to help anybody if I talk about the price of coffee, or whatever it is that I've come up with? And I don't know if it does. One of the things on this journey that I'm on, this journey of, the warrior's path and self-discovery, those are kind of one and the same. It's not easy. And I knew it wasn't going to be easy going in, and I kind of like that it's not easy. It's like this sunburn pain. It's a pain, but it feels kind of good to be in pain. And I don't mean hey, I like suffering. I'm into S&M. No, it's not like that. I'm saying that I can feel the sunburn and it's a little uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's like, wow, I feel alive. I feel like there's something to the burn I'm feeling. It's kind of the same thing as If you listen to the Josh Terry podcast that I just put up, there's a point in the conversation where we talk about cold exposure. And that is a very helpful thing. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but basically it's exposing yourself to extreme cold temperatures for as long as you can. And what that does is it unlocks a certain portion of your brain that allows you to understand your potential, your potential to be uncomfortable, and your potential to withstand pain and discomfort, which leads to bigger and better things, because you're like, hey, I can withstand this little amount of pain. So therefore, I can probably do this uncomfortable thing that I've been putting off, which snowballs into bigger and better things. So my point there is the sunburn now, where most people would be like, ow, it hurts, and I put some lotion on it and this and that. I'm like, I kind of like this feeling. I kind of like feeling like the sunburn is earned, right? I've earned this sunburn. It feels like I've earned it. And it's kind of like a badge of honor. And that's, sometimes I have these long pauses like that. And I wonder, hey, should I edit those out? But I think I'm not really going to do any editing on this one. I'd like to see if the pauses are annoying, right? Like, do you guys find it annoying if someone pauses and thinks for a while? I've been told both ways, right? I've been told, like, hey, cut out all the pauses, keep going, keep your no breaths at all. Don't be a human and just talk. And that way you'll hold someone's attention. But supposedly it goes the other way as well, where if you pause and you think about something, people will hang on a little while and be like, you know what? This guy's got something to say and he's really thinking about it. I'm going to listen. I'm excited to hear what they've got to say. So I feel like it could work both ways. And for someone like me who doesn't like to just speak right away, I like to think about what I have to say. I think it works better with some pauses. But I don't want the pauses to be a crutch, which is why I started doing these solo podcasts, so I can learn to just speak and speak freely. Because that is probably the hardest thing about being an introvert and doing a podcast, is just speaking freely. I had this conversation with my friend Kip, who was also on the podcast. And we were going over, like, what is it that keeps me from speaking freely? And he kind of thought maybe it was that I'm afraid of backlash. And that might be it slightly. Like, I'm not really afraid of, like, what anybody out there is going to say. I'm not afraid of that. I'm more like, I'm afraid of being incongruent with myself. I want to make sure that what I'm saying, I believe. But I wonder if that's even possible. I mean, I know I've heard other people speak, and they speak very freely, and it feels like they believe 100% of what they're saying. And there's not a lot of pauses, not a lot of thinking. They just know what they believe, and they're going for it. And that's the point I'm trying to get to. That's why I'm practicing all this congruency. Because I feel like I could get there. And I don't want to lean on this, hey, I'm an introvert, so I'm going to use this as a crutch kind of thing. I would like to reach my full potential. And of course, we reach our full potential by practicing and getting better at the things that we're trying to reach our potential. If that made any sense. That seemed like a weird sentence. Seeing it's that kind of thing. The doubting myself. Hey, that was a weird sentence. It's that kind of thing that might cause incongruency. And if so, that's the thing I need to work on. Just say the sentence. It's done. It's in the past. And you're through with it. I saw this great Adventure Time snippet. And I posted it on my Facebook because someone was asking me, goes back to the Gen X thing. But I had written on my Facebook about Gen X that I think that my favorite part of being Gen X is that we can care so deeply and at the same time not give a shit. And she was just like, how so? And the best explanation I could think of was posting this cartoon of Adventure Time. And I haven't even seen this episode, but I saw this out of context a couple days prior. And it was like, wow, that's really fitting. I'm going to go find that and post it because it seems like the best way to explain this. But basically you have Jake the dog, who's kind of, and you have Finn the human. And Jake is kind of Finn's guardian. You know, and Finn's this like awkward kid growing up into be a teen and a man. And Finn seems upset about some kind of relationship. Said, hey, I can't, having a girlfriend is hard, it's difficult, it bothers me. And Jake's like, being crazy is the difficult thing. And Finn's like, you don't get it. And he's like, no, I do. You aren't able to, you have to be able to differentiate between real problems and problems you make up in your head. And so he does this by saying, hey, this is my favorite cup in the whole world. And he holds up a mug and he's like, this is my favorite mug in the whole world. And he tosses it out the window. And he said, now it's gone. I don't have to think about it anymore. It's gone. It's done. And that's it. The problem is over. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Now I'm on to the next thing. That's basically saying be here now, right? And I feel like that is the entire essence of Gen X. And this has nothing to do with the Gen X thing I was coming up with. It's just I've been thinking about Gen X a lot. My birthday is coming up, and it's got me thinking about my past and present. You know, how I got here. What's the story? What's my hero's journey, so to speak? At any rate, the past, the present, the future. We don't let those hold us back. Gen X basically takes, at least my version of Gen X, the way I have seen it, is that we have like selective apathy. In the way that Jake shows Finn, right? He throws out the cup, all of a sudden he's apathetic about it. Doesn't care. Because he's on to the next thing. He's already doing whatever's in the moment. And I think that's very Gen X. And hopefully that is something we can pass on to future generations. Not necessarily apathy, but just being able to be in the moment. And with that said, I hope this podcast finds you well. Up next week, the next podcast we have, I'm trying to remember who's going to be on that one. Oh, that's right. We have a guy named Matt Bacon. And Mr. Matt Bacon is, I guess you could call him a music expert, right? He manages bands. He helps bands out. He works with some bigger bands like Flock of Seagulls and stuff like that. But he's a younger dude. He works with metal bands, helps them with advertising, and basically getting off the ground. And we talk a lot about that kind of stuff. So if that's something you'll dig, definitely check that out coming Tuesday. And if you haven't done it already, would love it if you subscribe to this channel. Hit like on this, all the YouTube things. Really appreciate it. Helps this channel grow, and that's what I'm trying to do, is grow this channel. Because the idea is let's grow and let's help each other out as much as possible. So yeah, with that said, thanks for being here. Thanks again for checking out all the different B-Sound podcast things. BoboBot, the Woos, which, by the way, a little bonus nugget here. We recorded a song this week, and I'm not sure what it's called yet. We're still working on it. We're going to work on it a little more next week, and then we're going to film a music video for it. So that's in the works. So watch out for that. I think it's probably going to be on this channel here once we're done with the music video. So look forward to that. And yeah, we'll see you later. Be sound, friends. Be sound.